First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fox 12 Now. We're live streaming here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. But I did want to pull that up. That is a shot of downtown Portland from our Shriners camera right there. It looks a little bit less crazy than it was yesterday with all of that rain coming down, but still a lot of issues from around the region with that. The floodwaters are starting to recede, but that's not the only thing to think about when that happens. So we're going to be discussing, actually, the turbidity in the Portland water supply. And we're joined right now by Brandon Zero from the Portland Water Bureau. And Brandon, before we go too much further in this, could you, for everybody out there who may not know, tell us what turbidity is?
Yeah, so when there are heavy rains, organic materials like leaves, twigs, branches get washed into our primary water source. So you can kind of think of it as stormwater runoff, but for the entire water system. And right now we don't have the ability to filter out those organic materials that cause turbidity. That's changing soon, but for now we have to take action to revert to another water source after heavy rains to maintain the high quality water that we know and love.
And so this is the water that previously, I mean, we'll talk about the switch as well, but normally the water is coming from the Bull Run, is that right?
That's right. That's our primary water source, and it is a rain-fed system. So when heavy rains occur, that's really what's causing that turbidity to percolate.
Which is something that we're seeing in all of our waterways right now, too, because we've been talking about it today. Just even going down to the Willamette, you're going to see a bunch of giant logs or trees even flowing down the water as it's coming through all these different waterways. So that does make sense. It would make it into that. You also mentioned that in the future it will be filtered. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we're working right now. Crews are on site of the new Bull Run filtration facility. It's in construction. It's going to give us a powerful tool to kind of address the potential water quality impacts of extreme weather events. So what do I mean? The filtration facility will be able to remove sediment, organic material, and other contaminants, those that we know about. And, you know, we live in a world in which climate change is impacting the environment, maybe contaminants that we don't know about right now. It will enable us to reliably serve Bull Run water even after an event like an extreme storm, because we'll have the capability of filtering water. And it'll also remove disease-causing microorganisms from our water to make it even safer.
And for people right now who are receiving or who have been receiving water from Bull Run, are they going to notice anything in their water supply?
Honestly, unless you're a water sommelier, the difference is very slight. I've tried it. It's basically there's a little bit more of minerals in groundwater just because of how the aquifers work. And so you might taste a little bit more of a mineral, more of a, it's like the difference between hard and soft water. But unless you've got a very refined palate, my guess is that you won't know the difference at all.
And that's from this water switching from Bull Run to the Columbia shore. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, the Columbia South Shore well field is a basically it's an aquifer. So rainwater, when it falls, pools on the ground, eventually seeps down and is naturally filtered through layers and layers of sediment. And that we use pumps to pump that water that's really been being filtered and marinating underground for quite a while back up out of the system, so that we can have a little bit more system resilience for moments like these when our water system could use a little bit of a break.
And how long will we be switched over to that system?
Yeah, I mean, we're monitoring and working to make sure that the water quality is planned for. That's why we were able to get ahead of the storm. So we're carefully planning and monitoring water quality levels to make sure that we have a reasonable game plan of when we can return to Bull Run water. But right now, we're watching and waiting.
And for people who were, you know, is there anybody out there who's still maybe getting Bull Run water that's making its way through the system, and would they notice any kind of discoloration or anything like that with that kind of water?
Yeah, so we do have a gravity-fed system. It's one of the ways that we try to work to make sure that we can save customers money by making sure that instead of using pumps as much as possible, the water literally rolls downhill from the watershed to most people's pipes. And what that means is that it can take up to 2 weeks for folks, depending on what part of town they live in and the elevation, to see that switch in the water. You do bring up a good point. Every time that there is a big storm, especially in the fall when we're getting these continuous rains, those organic materials that I mentioned earlier, that turbidity, can cause a slight tint to the water. That's something that might look a little bit more yellowish than usual. The water is still safe to drink. It just might not have the aesthetic qualities that we're used to. And that's something that we expect to clear up as the rains continue to wind down. But in the meantime, we do advise folks that the water is safe to drink, but there might be a little bit of fall color that people are looking at.
Okay, but otherwise nothing to worry about. Perfectly fine to drink it.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. And now that we're switching to groundwater, we'll have a different source as well.
All right. Well, Brandon, anything else that you think is important for people to know?
Well, we're working really hard to monitor the situation, and I want folks to know that this is even though groundwater is a great secondary resource that we have for our water supply, that we're investing in building a brand new Bull Run filtration facility that'll make sure that we can continue serving excellent, clean, safe drinking water from the Bull Run, our primary water source, year round.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having time to talk to us. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. Thanks for the time.
All right, and for everybody watching, this is what we get to do here, is these little bit of longer form discussions and segments about that, talking about the Portland water supply right there and that switch and what you should know associated with that. So we appreciate Brandon joining us, and thanks everybody for being here. This is Fox 12 Now. We're going to go ahead and take a break for now, but we will be back with any breaking news and plenty more coverage here this afternoon leading up to our 4 p.m. news. Thanks for watching.